Well, it's game number 25 of the World Cup and match number 2 at Chinnaswamy, a game that I'm really looking forward to watching because it's basically the wooden spoon holders and, of course, what do you call the bottom rung? I mean, the bottom place team, that's wooden spoon. Either ways, it's the ninth place team and the 10th place team, just to avoid any confusion. That's playing each other. Two teams that we really didn't think or peg for, being placed in the bottom two midway through the tournament, England and Sri Lanka. Both teams haven't had the greatest of tournaments. Clearly, their positions reflect that. Both teams have also been depleted by injuries. So it's going to be interesting to see how both teams play today. In fact, Patirana not available for Sri Lanka, Topley not available for England. A lot of such talking points to mention. We've got Gurkirat Bhai, we've of course got Nikhil Bhai as well. How are you doing today, gents?
बस देखो बढ़िया है. Every team is feeling the blue, so hopefully somebody will feel less of that today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game to see if England lose. What is the new excuse, or what is the new reason that we can come up with, or we can point
ODI cricket doesn't
as the
matter.
reason.
ODI cricket doesn't matter. That's what it is. With England, it is very easy. Whatever they lose, find an issue, make a problem, and then say it is not important. Let's not play. Khatam. Simple.
But one good thing that can come out of this game is that if there's another controversial decision on the DRS or the ball tracking, that blowing up is something that I will not mind, given how the DRS is function, the ball tracking specifically. So that could be the only thing that might come out of the game if England go on to lose.
Yeah.
All
Or we
right.
might just learn. We might just learn another new rule. Who knows?
Already shots being fired. We're just 2 minutes into the preview. But yeah, talking about, a lot of talking points to mention today. Let's start with Sri Lanka's spin struggles. We've seen them struggle this tournament. Barring the one win against Netherlands, they've really not had much success. And that also was not without its share of scares. Netherlands almost pulled off another upset there. Unfortunately, that wasn't to be the case, and Sri Lanka eked out a victory. But if we just look at the numbers for Sri Lankan batters and for Sri Lankan bowlers and how they fared, Mahesh Deekshana, Dunit Velalge, both of them were in decent form to say the least in the Asia Cup. Velalge, of course, with that 6-4 against India, that would come to everyone's mind as Indian fans, of course. But neither of them have been amongst the wickets. You see the average of Velalge 98. You see the economy of 6.7. Both of which are the worst for any spinner who's bowled a minimum of 15 overs this World Cup. And then there's Deekshana, who was supposed to be the primary strike bowler in place of Hasranga. He was expected to play an even bigger role, and neither of them have been able to do that. Nikhil Bhai, how important would it be for them given the kind of surface they're playing at? We saw Zampa get a 4-4 in the previous game that happened here at Chinnaswamy. So how crucial do you think their performance would be today against a side like in England?
Yeah, today could be a great day to correct that record. England have opted to bat first. DK said that he expects some turn on offer because of the top surface being such that it is very dry. So let's hope DK has red pitches better so far. So I'll take his word on that. And yeah, as you rightly said, could just be the day for the Sri Lankan spinners to come to the fore. Keen to see the changes as well for both sides because England have made wholesale changes in the past, expecting a few today as well.
All right, Gurkirat, what about you? Because again, even during the World Cup, I mean, the mega preview that we did, we'd spoken about how crucial Sri Lanka's, chances would be if the spinners do well. I mean, how crucial? My bad. I'll phrase it better. How crucial Sri Lanka spinners would be for Sri Lanka to do well in the tournament. Clearly, they've not turned up so far. Doesn't help that most of their lead pacers have also been there. Chamira, and of course even Patirana. Sorry, come to my mind right now off the top of my head. So, what do you think? How important would it be for them to come good today?
See, bowling as a whole has not turned up, barring if you talk about Madhushanka. So yeah, it's something which is slightly disappointing. I also feel like I was talking yesterday. Playing on absolutely some flat decks hasn't helped the spinners. They played the first game at Delhi, then the second one at Hyderabad, so it did not help them. Uh, the game against Australia was lost more due to the bat rather than with the ball, and where also you felt there was not enough support for Madhushanka because Lahiru Kumara came and sprayed the ball anywhere and everywhere else. Last game was a good performance in the sense that it was not Madhushanka who took new ball wickets, but Rajita who did well, and then Madhushanka supported him. So in ODI cricket, you need at least three bowlers who you can bank upon, or who can at least support each other, so that you can get some overs out of part timers. So that hasn't happened, and yeah, Tikshana, you would have expected a lot more from him, given the kind of form he was in before. But it is something that can happen. They played Himanta in the last game, dropped Velalage. Himanta came into the attack pretty late, so not sure how much can be read into that performance. But let's see what 11 they go in with today, because so far the 11's not come out. Uh, Matthews is in the squad. I don't know what to make of it. It's surprising. I mean, the man, in the last 4 years that I've seen Matthews play, I've seen him play on almost one leg, and still be good enough to do a decent job. So sorry. So let's see what Matthew comes up with
Nice.
today. I don't know what happened there, but yeah. So interested to see the 11s for both the teams.
Definitely, and if I remember correctly, Sri Lanka did defeat England in the last World Cup fixture. I remember that distinctly because I remember post the first innings, Mark Wood came into the mid innings presentation. He had a chat, and the presenter asked him like, "Are you? Do you think you'll get a bat today?" Like, I hope not. I don't think I'll be required today. And he did have to come to bat. Unfortunately, he couldn't win England the game. But speaking of Angelo Matthews, Nikhil, like
Actually, if you go back, the last time England beat Sri Lanka was in 1999.
in World Cups. Oh wow, that's some stat. That's what you get, guys. Here, that's exactly what you get. I can't believe it's been more than 20 years. You're saying since England defeated Sri Lanka in a World Cup fixture.
Yeah, and most of them were smashing wins. You to go about the 2015 one, the 2011 quarterfinal, they beat by 10 wickets. The New Zealand
2007 was a close game.
a close game, but they didn't win. Close game.
Yeah, they
I'm
did
not
win.
saying close game
They
tha
did
ki nahi
win. I remember that game because it was one of those games that I was up for watching, late in the night.
Oh, I
Dilara
remember this
Fernando,
game. Yeah,
Dilara Fernando bowling the last delivery with Ravi Bopara on strike, and I think it was
yes,
Paul Nixon at the other end.
Yeah.
And last ball was a bold. They needed some 3 odd runs. It was a good partnership.
yeah,
It
yeah,
felt
yeah.
like England were out of the game, but Bopara and Nixon did well to take England close. But yes, they still lost
Bopara and
that
Nixon
game.
did do well, but it'll be interesting to see who does well for them today, 15 years later. Because again, Nikhil Bhai mentioned wholesale changes is something England aren't, privy to. And today, once again, they've come up with three changes. Chris Wokes, Moeen Ali, Liam Livingston, all three of them back into the setup. It'll be interesting to see who's gone out in place of them. I would really like to.
Reece Topley, Gus Atkinson, and Harry Brook.
Harry Brook is also the unfortunate casualty there. But Gurkirat, again, you mentioned Angelo Matthews. He's, of course, in the 11. He's playing the game today. He's coming back, I don't know after how long. Like, I only remember him in World Cups and big tournaments like these. That's the only time I probably see him. नहीं तो देखने को ही नहीं मिलता मुझे इस पे.
He played in ODI just earlier this year.
Okay.
So in New Zealand, and he also played in the LPL, and he took wickets also.
Yep.
So don't be surprised if he bowls today and even gets a few wickets. It is fun.
Oh.
Cricket is stupid at times and funny also. So it's great.
Yes. So for Sri Lanka, Matthews and Kumara are in.
Correct.
There is no Himanta, and I think who have they dropped? Who's the other player that they have dropped?
Chamika Karunaratne and that guy.
Yeah.
Simple. Huh?
Yeah, but I don't understand these changes. I mean, I don't understand, dropping Karunaratne on the basis of just one game and bringing in
It
Kumara.
is not about Karunaratne dropping. It is about replacing Angelo Matthews. You
Exactly.
can't replace Angelo Matthews with anybody else.
Yeah. It's more, that's the most like for like replacement they could
Ah.
find. So they decided to do that. I agree
Yeah.
there with
But then
The only
why would you remove Himanta and bring in Lahiru Kumara?
Because the anyways don't trust Hemanta. They didn't use him well. And then again, the call that I think they should have taken is probably played the Dunit Velalage instead of Lahiru
Yeah.
Kumara. But
Yeah.
True.
they may have read conditions very differently. So let's see.
Yeah,
If
that
we can
still
read
makes
into
a lot.
quotes,
That still makes a lot more sense, because the way Kumara bowled in that game versus Australia, he did not inspire any confidence. And on this venue against this lineup, which is going to prefer pace,
100%. And also, one more thing, just to add to the pitch report that Dinesh Karthik came up with, he didn't mention that bowlers from the pavilion end will get a lot more purchase, but he also mentioned that the other end would remain fairly flat
Yeah.
throughout the game. So expect spinners to primarily operate from the pavilion end, and the other end you can expect batters to try and go as much across. I mean, play cross-batted shots as much as possible. Anyways, yeah. Without further ado, let's also go into the first segment, which of course is key battles. Yep. Talking of key battles, we've mentioned already that how Sri Lankan spinners have struggled. Not that the English batters have fared any better. Nikhil bhai, let's start with you. In terms of key battles, what are we looking at today?
New ball, Dilshan Madhushanka, very early call for the X Factor out in the open, Lelo. Uh, and also there are, we've talked about Johnny Bairstow struggling against left-arm pace. Joe Root has had struggle against left-arm pace. Joe Root, in fact, in the power play is averaging 5.2 in the power play since in ODIs. So that is something that is unheard of in terms of since the last World Cup. Joe Root's numbers are 16 innings,
What?
47 runs, 9 wickets, average of 5.2, strike rate 39. So
Really?
it's either been single digits or Jai Matadi, which is something you don't associate with Root. So there you go. Both my X Factor picks already out in the open. But that's the matchup that I think will go a long way in deciding how both teams go, whether it is England or whether it is Sri Lanka.
No, for a guy who once upon a time was known for scoring 50s for fun and not converting them into big hundreds or something, he would have been the last name I would have thought of to have such a record in the power play. But Gurkirat,
Yeah.
what about you? Key battles, what are you looking at?
So Nikhil mentioned about the one that I had in my mind when it came to England batting. The other is obviously we had it covered in the preview today that Kusal Mendes has done very well against leg spinners in this year. He's rarely smashing them for fun. But against Adil Rashid, he doesn't have a great record. He's been dismissed 4 times. So there you go. We have the graphic. So yeah, this is going to be a key battle because say if Sri Lanka are able to restrict England to around 300, 320, even after a good start, you'll need someone like Kusal Mendes to do well to make sure that they don't fall behind the chase a lot. And he's really batted well. You would want him to continue and do well. Got out early in the last game also in the power play itself. So you'd want him to do well. This is another key battle that is there for me. The other battle I have in my mind is the one that would probably happen with between Joss Butler and Tikshana, because I sort of feel that today my X factor, I feel like going for Joss Butler as my X factor because we've seen middle order batters light up the scene in this World Cup. Maxwell did something, Klaasen has done something, KL Rahul has had a good innings. We've had Phillips play a decent innings. Mitchell did not play an explosive innings, but a good innings.
You don't
So
have to be stingy on those compliments. Or something. I mean, Maxwell did something. Class did वो बेचारे मारे भाई. You can be a bit.
No, no, so what I mean is that it is time that Butler comes to the party. So batting first, if he gets a good platform, I'm looking at him to do, if not a 40 ball 100, then at least a 60 ball 100. Let's see. I just feel like the venue, the bowling attack is something that is right up Butler's alley. If he gets a start, we should look at fireworks in the last 10-15.
क्या जमाना आ गया एटलीस्ट द 60 बॉल 100 ऐसे बोलने लगे अभी ओडीआई क्रिकेट में भी चलो नो वरीज
No,
बट
but see, it is not beyond him. If you think about it, it is not beyond him.
that's definitely for sure, especially in a venue like we have in Bangalore. 100% you would expect someone like him to be able to do that. He would be the one player I would probably go to, barring say Liam Livingston in this England setup, who could probably come up with a 60 ball 100. But again, talking about the game itself, in terms of again key battles, so baat kar liya humne. Let's take a few questions before we move. Jeez, man, again, what's it with Chinnaswamy games and me stammering? And before me Oh boy, yeah. Before I make a fool of myself, शांति से आराम से चमीरा का एक क्वेश्चन लेते हैं. चमीरा के बारे में एक क्वेश्चन लेते हैं संजय जी से. He says Chamira being around the team given his injury struggles itself is a strange call from Sri Lanka. He was a part of their travelling reserves, and this was something that they'd come up with even before the World Cup began. Doesn't seem that I mean it doesn't seem like he has recovered so far. What do you make of that, Nikhil? Do you think they could have gone to someone else, maybe someone like a Binura Fernando or someone like anyone who could actually play and who was match fit?
So we have no clue in terms of how they are looking and what they are thinking because, as Paji said, I don't know. Maybe Lahiru Kumara could take a fifer today, but it doesn't seem like the safest call to go on this deck. So not sure really how to make of it, and we don't even know half. I even suspect Thikshan are not being 100% fit. So because he had a niggle, so that is something that's going to be very very tricky to take a call. Ke, what could they do? Because again, Chamira is their preferred option, but again, if he's still not playing, so definitely fit nahi.
All right. We also have another question from Vasant. He asks, Moeen Ali, do you think should be there in the 11 for today's game, or does England need to reinforce their pace bowling armory against a team like Sri Lanka? Gurkirat, you can probably chip in here. What do you think? Do you think pace against Sri Lanka would have been the right way to go?
I just think they've gone back to they've gone back to the template that I feel allows them to bat freely. Uh, I wouldn't really have had him. I said it in the preview also that Moin Ali might start, but I will not be surprised if he gets dropped very soon. So again, I think they've probably got him because they feel that Sri Lanka would have posed a spin challenge and they would have rated his abilities against spin very well. Though in recent times, those numbers haven't been great either. I think he's averaging around 19 or 20 versus spin. So all three, like the players that have come back, Moeen, Livingston, and Vokes, they are all rounders. So they've just gone back to the template where they feel uh, that they cannot strengthen their bowling beyond a point. So they might as well strengthen their batting enough that come what may, they can put up a total of those 20-25 runs par, and then hope that the scoreboard pressure takes care of itself and the bowling has some cushion. So maybe that's the idea. But yeah, uh, on numbers, I don't know how you can justify that call. It's also not that Sri Lanka plays spin poorly. So yeah, it's just England going back to the template that they feel most comfortable with. That okay, we have enough batting, we just want to keep going out and hitting. That's about it. I feel.
All right, guys, before we move on, just make sure you're also hitting the like button because that's how, unfortunately, YouTube works. So we have to keep reminding you guys. Make sure you've also subscribed to us if you haven't already. But Nikhil Bhai, he mentioned that Moeen Ali might not have been the greatest of choices. Do you think the fact that he's played here before, he's been a part of the RCB setup, so he knows a bit more about Chinnaswamy than say the rest of the lineup? Do you think that could have played any role?
No, I don't think so. Because again, there has to be performance. If he knows something, he can definitely pass that message on. It's not that only if he's playing that he can pass that message to the others in the side. And as Paji said, you have see my point is there are when you have too many all-rounders, sometimes their usage is again very very critical. So what is the exact role of Moeen Ali? Where do you want him to come in? How do you want him to play? Do you want him to bowl a lot and take care of the lefties? Is that the query? You have Joe Root to do that role. So again, it really depends on how they're looking at it. Sometimes just I feel that on smaller venues many teams have preferred to have an option like Bowen because if he takes off, he'll give you those 20 ball 40 50s, and that really is a very handy effort to have option to have that. Okay, it's good that you have an option who can roll this arm over for 4 5 hours, and with the bat, if they come at the right point of time, they could give you handy runs because it's a shorter fence, so they can chance their arm. And also, I don't know how much of the dry deck has played its part. Because you have seen Livingston bowl, you've seen Moeen Ali also bowl, and you've seen Root also bowl here. So very keen to see how they want to use it. And as Paji said, I think it is just about wanting that freedom. Okay, go out and just play and smash. And Moeen Ali is someone who's played probably his entire career with that logic that go out there, enjoy. Baki sab chodo, it's anyways not in your hand.
Fair, okay. But there's one more question Chinmay has been sort of really bombarding us with. He really wants to know, really wants to know Sadira और Pereira के बीच में किसका matchup और अच्छा है England bowlers के खिलाफ. Nikhil bhai, you can probably take this up because his first question was also to you. He in fact even mentioned you. So yeah, you can take this up. Like in terms of having a better matchup, who do you think is better placed, Sadira or Pereira?
See, you have to look at matchups very carefully. Whatever those numbers are, Kusal Perra has great numbers against off spin and power play. But who did he get out to last game? Arindar for a low score. So just having those numbers will not always mean that the guys will do well or not. But you have to also see what are they coming into. Sadira is coming into this game with a lot more under his belt in terms of runs. So Kusal will always take his chances, and the day he comes off, we will all compare him to Jaiswala and say that wow, great guy. But the fact that you have to wait for him to come good is also tells you that it's going to be high risk, high reward with him. With Sadira, I think he had one rough decision in the game prior to that one, prior to the last one, and the last game he played very well. So today, if they are chasing, even if there is early wicket, there could be swing early on in the second half. So that could also potentially test Kusal Perra early versus Chris Fox and David Willey. So there, if you feel that okay, Sadira is the guy who's better placed in terms of the lineup also to make an impact, then that's how you can go. So uh, just go on current form and potential तो हमेशा रहेगा कुशल पेरेरा में to come off. But when and if you think on that day, then good luck.
Gurkirat, as Indian cricket fans, one of our pet peeves has always been, choosing reputation over form, over talent, and all of that. Sanjay has a question in around that itself. He says, or rather asks, thoughts on England persisting with Stokes. We criticize Indian cricket for prioritizing names over form. England isn't doing anything different this time around. What do you think? Like Stokes, does he still merit a spot given how he's really done nothing much of note so far in the tournament?
It's not just England, even Australia do the same. If you think about it, uh, that era, not prioritizing reputation, I don't think was ever a thing in English cricket. It was an Australian cricket thing, but even in Australia, that isn't followed. Now, like I had answered this when we were doing the England preview, when Nikhil asked me that, is it okay for a player to announce their retirement and then come back? So I said this that it is not, but because England have won the last ODI World Cup and the last T20 World Cup, whatever good or bad they do can be justified because of the results. And English cricket circle or cricket discourse or cricket media is probably the strongest in terms of setting narratives. Good bad comes later. If they want to justify something, they can justify something. So, in a nutshell, I don't agree with the practice that a player chooses to retire and then you bring a player back, saying that okay, we need this. It probably tells you that you probably did not look for alternatives or did not look for someone to replace that guy. And I think more than Stokes, the player that they are missing from the 2019 World Cup is Liam Plunkett in terms of not getting wickets in the middle overs. So I wouldn't really say a player of Stokes' caliber is a liability. If anything, see, you selected him, you wanted him back because of his experience or whatever or etc. But he was pretty clear that, and his fitness was also that he cannot really bowl, and what he offers with the bat. So prioritizing reputations is something that has been a part of cricket, regardless of which country it is. Maybe the scale differs a little bit, but it's been a part of pretty much each and every cricketing system to some extent.
Fair enough. I mean, Ben Stokes has always been one of the first names that you would think of when you thought of X Factor players or clutch players that Avnish loves to talk about. But speaking of which, let's move on quickly to the next segment, which is X Factor players. Yep, X Factor players. I can think of a couple on both sides. Gurkirat, let's start with you. Who are your X Factor picks for today's game?
For England, it's Butler, like I said earlier. For Sri Lanka, I'm trying to think. Uh, I'm having two names in my mind. One of them, like I just feel like going for an absolutely crazy pick and feel like coming up with Angelo Matthews. If Sri Lanka are to chase down something, because yeah, he's had that experience. He's been someone who's who's had the emotional maturity, as you know, as Anirudh has often termed about something that you need in chases. So that is one name that's coming to my head. The other is obviously, I feel like it could be Kushal Mendis's day once again, given how the pitch is and the bowling attack is. So torn between those two. Just feel like going for a wild pick. So saying Angelo Matthews.
All right, Josh Butler and Angelo Matthews is what Gurkirat has gone with. Nikhil bhai, kya lagta hai? Where are you thinking? I mean, which way are you headed?
Now, yeah, already talked about Joe Root and Madhushanka, but again, those are probably the common X factors. So, if it's a day of Jai Matadi, so Paj is already gone for Matthews and Butler, right?
Yeah.
So let's go for Johnny Baba and Kusal Pair. Let's have fun. Both Jai Matadi picks. They'll last one ball or they'll make 100. कोई बात नहीं.
By the way, if you're talking of hundreds, there's the one player that I want to really score 100 today is Patum Nisanka. Like, please, please, please do it. Please do it. Just don't stop at a 50 plus score. Go and score a big one, big 100, because he does the toughest part right, and then he just manages to get out. So, must be frustrating for Sri Lankan fans.
Yeah.
All right. In the interest of not having any overlap, England ke saath at least, I would go with Liam Livingston, another player that I really love watching. Chinnaswamy is also the kind of track where he can come good. Gurkirat also mentioned how middle order batters in general have really sort of lightened up this World Cup. I expect Liam Livingston to also be able to do that. He can bash spin, he can bash pace. It also helps that the dimensions here are in his favor. So that's one name I'm going for. And the other name would be Mahesh Theekshana. For me, because I feel Sri Lanka, knowing how knowing how the pitch is today and how they spoke about pavilion end being the end for spinners, where there's actually a bit of grip as well on offer. So I expect Theekshana to actually come good today. Those lengths, if he gets his lengths right, he can really get on the roll. And again, England also haven't been in the greatest of form that could sort of play some play some tricks in their mind. So I'm expecting Theekshana to be able to do that. So yeah, those are my picks today. But one last batter that we haven't still spoken about, Dawin Malan, he's been in good form. Sanjay also asked us whether he would be the casualty should Stokes, continue to hold on to his place. If you just look at his numbers, he's in fact been England's best batter so far in the World Cup. 192 runs, a healthy average of 48, a healthy strike rate of 106. If you want to nitpick, the only issue has been that he hasn't been able to convert those starts, which has pretty much been the case with all of their top 5 batters. Nikhil bhai, Dawin Malan at a venue like this, we know how he bats. He is your quintessential ODI batter that way. He likes to sort of get go. He takes his time and then aram se khelta. He knows how to switch gears. He understands the ODI format a lot better than most other English batters. So do you think this could be his day under the light? Maybe he can score a big daddy century to help England push the strong total.
Yeah, why not? And again, he's someone who's just looking to get himself into the game and doesn't take a lot of undue risk at the start of the innings. So that is always handy. I still feel he will also be tested by Madhushankar Leon because he's genuinely bowling well. So no other bias there, but that's what it is. You have to see off that first phase, and then when you get going, you just get a big score. And Malan is a perfect guy to hold and end up for the rest of the England batting to just keep going. There is nobody that is going to stop them from doing anything else. That keep going, keep attacking, because that's what having someone like Malan batting to allows. So Root and Malan, both we've discussed in the past, are the guys who they want to just bat deep so that everybody else, the plethora of all rounders that they have, they can all come in and just have a go. Towards the later on.
All right, this prediction time now. It's England playing Sri Lanka. Like we said, game number 2 at Chinnaswamy, which has traditionally been a high-scoring venue. And there's no reason why we would believe things would be different today. Gurkirat, let's start with you. How much do you think England is ending up with in the first innings?
330, somewhere between 320 to 330, so that, and I want that kind of a score only so that we don't have one team who's completely out of the chase, because the last 2 games we've had like that, batting heavy teams batting first and then just batting the other team completely out of the chase. So I'm hoping for a score between 320 to 330, which is a very achievable score if you have to chase at Chinnaswamy.
क्या यार मतलब Punjabis are usually associated with being dildar and एकदम क्या इतना conservative होके
क्या दिलदार क्या फिर होता ही है सेकंड इनिंग्स में you know in the first power play where the game's going. Now either you have to wait for the game to go till 10 p.m. and get it completed, or you have games like yesterday.
Right.
So the 320 330 chase will keep both the teams in the chase, and it will, to use the cricketing cliche, it will keep both the teams honest. No one will take it casually. England will know that if they don't get a wicket in the first power play, then they could end up losing that game. And yeah, if Sri Lanka chase a 320, 330 kind of odd score, it would make for great cricketing content, both
All right.
in terms of actual cricket and the excuses bit.
All right, Nikhil bhai, आपको क्या लगता है? Where are you headed this way?
Yeah, make 354 and then chase it.
Okay. And as usual, like whenever it's me and Nikhil bhai, it'll always be me. The average between me and the other guest equates to Nikhil bhai's score. So I'm saying 390. It'll be a 390 v 390 surface because I to be honest, Sri Lanka's batters have been in decent striking form. I can think of the game against South Africa as well. Not that South Africa's bowling has been great, but they still managed to make some sort of a game out of it. They ended up with about 340, 350, if I'm not wrong. So I'm hoping, yeah, today as well, Chinnaswamy, Acha, when England's bowlers haven't been in the greatest of form. The one bowler who was taking wickets for them, Lee Stockley, has been injured, has been ruled out of the tournament. So yeah, lots of things to look forward to. I'm hoping it's a 390 v 390 and hope Sri Lanka wins today. So yeah, that's it from the
Yeah.
preview, guys.
We have a first ball review, but ठीक है नहीं बच गए चलो नहीं
Oh, nahi liya hai na? Chalo. Anyways, yeah, that's it from the preview of the England Sri Lanka game, guys. Make sure you've liked the stream if you haven't already. Make sure you've also subscribed to us if you haven't already. We'll see you guys at the end of the game, talking about why Sri Lanka ended up winning this game and why I was the only one predicting that. But that's it from us right now. Thank you so much. Have a great game.
Yeah.